Welcome, seeker.
Beneath the sands of Egypt, where the desert winds whisper through crumbling temples and half-buried tombs, there lies a symbol that has outlived empires. A shape so simple it could be drawn by a child, yet so potent it became the key to life itself. The Ankh, the ancient Egyptian hieroglyph for life, has endured for over 5,000 years, crossing the boundaries of religion, culture, and time. You've seen it carved into the walls of temples, clutched in the hands of gods, dangling from the necks of pharaohs. But what if I told you the Ankh was never just a decoration, never just a symbol? What if it was a device, a key to unlock a force far greater than the human mind was ever meant to command? In the temples of Karnak and Luxor, the gods are depicted pressing the Ankh to the lips of kings, as if feeding them breath. Not just any breath, but the breath of eternity. To the untrained eye, it's a charming ritual. To the initiated, it's an encrypted image, a blueprint for harnessing the currents of cosmic life force. Some say the Ankh is a map of the human energy body, its loop representing the eternal soul, and its stem the earthly incarnation. Others claim it's a coded representation of the union between masculine and feminine, heaven and earth, matter and spirit. And there are those who whisper that the Ankh was a kind of ancient technology, a spiritual tool that could channel life energy, heal the body, and perhaps even open doorways between worlds. Tonight, we step into the shadows of forgotten dynasties. We'll uncover the hidden history of the Ankh, tracing its path from the golden age of Egypt to its quiet survival in mystical traditions across the globe. We'll decode its philosophical and esoteric meanings, the ones the priesthood never meant for the common people to know. And finally, we'll explore how you, here and now, can work with this ancient key to awaken energies long dormant within you. The Ankh is more than a relic. It is a question carved in gold, an invitation from the ancients to step beyond the limits of mortal life. The only question is, are you ready to turn the key? To understand the Ankh, we must first walk back into the heart of the Nile Valley, a place where civilization itself seemed to rise like the morning sun. Here, life was not just survival. It was a sacred choreography between river and desert, sun and shadow, flesh and spirit. Every harvest, every flood, every breath was seen as part of a divine order, and the Ankh was its emblem. The earliest appearances of the Ankh date back to Egypt's first dynasty, around 3000 BCE, etched into stone as if it had arrived fully formed. Unlike other symbols that evolved over centuries, the Ankh emerges into history already complete, a mystery whose origins lie hidden in the mist before written time. Some Egyptologists trace it to the image of a sandal strap, a mundane object reimagined into the symbol for life. But others suspect its roots run far deeper, perhaps into a pre-dynastic civilization whose knowledge was later absorbed by Egypt's priesthood. Within Egyptian temples, the Ankh was far more than a hieroglyph. It was a talisman held by gods such as Osiris, Isis, and Ra, not in casual adornment, but in acts of giving. In scene after scene, deities extend the Ankh toward kings and initiates, touching it to their nostrils or lips. To the ancient mind, breath was life. But this was no ordinary breath. It was Ankh, the breath of truth, the animating spark that bound the soul to the eternal order of the cosmos. Philosophically, the Ankh became a visual distillation of Egypt's most profound mysteries. Its oval loop, known as the Shen, represented the infinite, the womb of creation, the gateway through which the soul enters and leaves the physical world. The vertical stem symbolized the axis between heaven and earth, while the horizontal bar marked the horizon, the meeting place of the divine and mortal realms. In one shape, the Egyptians encoded their understanding of the universe as a union of opposites, spirit and matter, eternity and time, life and death. This balance was not merely symbolic, it was the foundation of Maat, the cosmic order that sustained creation. To live in harmony with Maat was to live in truth, balance, and reciprocity with all beings. The Ankh was the sign that this alignment had been achieved, the badge of one who had touched the eternal and returned to tell of it. Over centuries, as Egypt fell under foreign rule, first to the Persians, then the Greeks, and later the Romans, the Ankh began to fade from public life. Its form survived, but its sacred meaning retreated into the hidden teachings of mystery schools. By the time Christianity took root in Egypt, the Ankh had been subtly transformed into the crux ansata, the handled cross, still seen in Coptic churches today. It was the same key, but the door it opened was now spoken of in different words. Why was this knowledge hidden? Perhaps because the Ankh was never meant for the uninitiated. To the high priests, symbols were living things, containers of power. In the wrong hands, they could be diluted, misused, or stripped of their essence. And so the Ankh passed into shadow, not forgotten, but awaiting those who could still hear the river's ancient call. To look at the Ankh is to gaze at a riddle in plain sight, a design so elemental it bypasses the intellect and speaks directly to the deep memory of the soul. The ancients did not create symbols for mere decoration. Each form was a crystallized truth, a map for those who could read it. Let us begin with its shape. The oval loop, rising gracefully above the horizontal arms, is more than just a circle. It is an egg, the primordial seed from which all creation springs. In esoteric Egyptian thought, this was the Ra's egg, birthed from the cosmic waters of Nun at the dawn of time. It represents the hidden potential within every soul, the unmanifest, the eternal self untouched by decay. The horizontal bar is the horizon, the eternal line dividing night from day, the inner from the outer world. The vertical stem is the path, the descent of spirit into matter, and, for those who awaken, the ascent back into the infinite. In this way, the Ankh is not simply the symbol for life, it is the formula for regeneration. It tells us that true life is not the brief flicker of years between birth and death, but the eternal current that flows through countless incarnations, realms, and states of being. To hold the Ankh was to hold the continuity of existence itself. The priests taught that life force, Ankh Shu, was not a metaphor, but a tangible energy. This energy moved through all living things, as real as the flooding of the Nile. Skilled adepts could gather it, concentrate it, and direct it through ritual and intention. The Ankh, they believed, was both a reminder and a tool for this work. Its shape was not arbitrary. It served as a physical and energetic diagram for the body's own power system. The loop aligned with the head, the seat of consciousness, while the crossbar aligned with the arms, the realm of action, and the vertical stem with the spine, the channel through which life force flows. Some esoteric traditions suggest the Ankh was used in ceremonies to transfer this life force from one being to another, from deity to king, from priest to initiate, even from healer to patient. In temple reliefs, gods press the Ankh to the nostrils of the pharaoh, imparting the breath of eternity. In these moments, the symbol becomes an instrument, a conduit between realms. What's fascinating is how this idea parallels other ancient systems. In India, the prana flows through the sushumna. In China, the qi circulates along the meridians. The Ankh may have been Egypt's visual code for the same universal truth, that life is a current, and mastery comes from learning to direct it consciously. But here lies the deeper mystery. The Ankh does not only represent this current, it is said to open the flow. To meditate upon it, to trace it in the air, to hold it in the hand during ritual, was to attune oneself to the cosmic pulse that sustains worlds. The loop, the cross, the stem, each part vibrated with meaning, each a coordinate in a map that could lead the adept beyond the veil of death itself. And yet, not all of its secrets were openly taught. Some inscriptions hint at an inner Ankh, a key not of gold or wood, but of light. This was no object, but a state of being, awakened within the initiate after years of disciplined study and transformation. The physical Ankh was a shadow. The true key was forged in the heart. If you've made it this far into the labyrinth, you may begin to see why the ancients guarded it so fiercely. For those ready to look deeper, the Ankh is not just an ancient curiosity. It is a living technology, waiting to be rediscovered. If this exploration intrigues you, stay with me, because in the next part, we'll venture deeper into the hidden meanings, the myths and misconceptions, and the ways this symbol has been quietly carried forward through secret traditions. And if you wish to walk further into these mysteries, subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and keep your curiosity alive, for curiosity is the first breath of awakening. If in the previous section revealed the form of the Ankh, in this section we takes us into its soul, into the layered meanings and hidden transmissions that have allowed it to survive across ages, sometimes in plain sight, sometimes in deep concealment. One of the most persistent myths about the Ankh is that it was merely a hieroglyph for the word life. While technically true in the language of ancient Egypt, this is like saying the heart is simply an organ that pumps blood. It's accurate, but it misses the point entirely. The Ankh was not just a word, it was a word of power. In the Egyptian view, to name a thing was to summon its essence. To write or speak, the Ankh was to call forth the living current it represented. This is why you find it so often in temple inscriptions. It was a ritual act, a way of infusing sacred spaces with the force of life itself. But there are other interpretations, ones that whisper of deeper, more dangerous knowledge. Some occult traditions claim the Ankh was a portable resonance device, constructed in materials that could channel subtle energies. Gold for conductivity, copper for amplification, wood or stone for grounding. In this view, the physical Ankh could have acted as a tuning fork for the life force, directing it in healing or magical rites. The ancients were masters of symbolic layering, and the Ankh also hid in plain sight a truth about polarity. The loop at the top could be seen as the feminine principle, receptive, creative, nurturing. The vertical stem was the masculine, active, penetrating, directive. Joined by the horizontal crossbar, the two became one. In this union of opposites, the ancients saw the secret of all creation. Life emerges when duality merges into wholeness. This union was not only cosmic, but personal. Some temple teachings suggested that every human carried an inner Ankh, the fusion of their soul's eternal essence with their earthly body. The more balanced one's masculine and feminine energies, the more charged their inner Ankh became. When perfected, it became the key of the gods, able to open the gates between the worlds. Yet not all stories of the Ankh are benign. In later mystical writings, there are warnings of its misuse, of those who sought its power not for harmony, but for control. The priests understood that life force, when hoarded or directed selfishly, could corrupt its wielder. Hence the secrecy. Only initiates who had undergone years of moral and spiritual discipline were allowed to handle its deeper mysteries. Even as Egypt's power waned, the Ankh's journey did not end. It reappeared in the hands of early Christian Copts, reshaped as the crux ansata, still carrying the handle, still echoing the old life key. It surfaced in alchemical texts during the Middle Ages, woven into diagrams of the great work. And in certain African spiritual traditions, echoes of the Ankh's meaning persisted in symbols of fertility, unity, and divine breath. Today, the Ankh has found its way into global consciousness, adorning jewelry, tattoos, and pop culture. To most, it's an exotic aesthetic. But for those with eyes to see, its presence is a quiet reminder. The ancient current still flows, waiting for the hands that know how to hold it. In the next section, we will leave the temple walls and step into your own life, exploring how the wisdom of the Ankh can be practically applied here and now to awaken energy, balance your inner forces, and live with the vitality and clarity the ancients guarded so dearly. If you are ready to not just learn about the Ankh, but to use it, stay with me. And as always, if this journey stirs something within you, subscribe, leave your reflections below, and keep the conversation alive. The ancients would never have devoted millennia of reverence to the Ankh if it were only meant to be admired from a distance. Symbols in their worldview were alive, and their true value emerged when they were used, contemplated, and woven into daily practice. The Ankh, as the key of life, was not simply a mark on temple walls. It was a tool for attuning oneself to the very currents that sustain existence. To bring the Ankh into your life today is not about replicating lost Egyptian rituals step by step. It's about tuning into the principles it encodes and activating them in your own body, mind, and spirit. Here are 3 ways to do just that. 1. Meditative alignment with the Ankh. Find a quiet place. Hold an image or physical replica of the Ankh before you, or visualize it in your mind. See its loop resting above your head, the crossbar aligned with your shoulders, and the vertical stem descending down your spine into the earth. With each breath, imagine light entering through the loop, flowing down your spine, and radiating outward through your arms. This practice not only centers your awareness, but also harmonizes your energy, connecting your higher consciousness, loop, with your actions, crossbar, and grounding them into physical reality, stem. 2. Breath of Eternity exercise. The ancient depictions of gods pressing the Ankh to the lips of the initiate point to a hidden practice. Breath as a carrier of life force. Sit comfortably and visualize an Ankh made of golden light hovering before your mouth. Inhale through it, as if drawing in the breath of the cosmos itself. Hold briefly, allowing the life current to circulate through you, then exhale gently, sending that energy into the world with intention, perhaps for healing, clarity, or creative inspiration. 3. The union of opposites ritual. The Ankh teaches that creation arises from the merging of dualities, masculine and feminine, active and receptive, inner and outer. To work with this principle, spend time identifying where in your life one polarity dominates the other. Then create a simple active balance. If you've been overly analytical, engage in something intuitive, like art or music. If you've been passive, take decisive action on a lingering goal. While doing so, keep the Ankh in mind, or wear one, as a reminder that harmony fuels vitality. Living the Ankh's wisdom. The real transformation comes not from occasional symbolic use, but from making the Ankh's principles part of your daily rhythm. The loop reminds you to honor your eternal essence, not just your temporary roles. The crossbar invites conscious action that bridges worlds. The stem grounds your spiritual insight into tangible results. There will be obstacles. The modern world is built to pull you away from harmony, to scatter your attention, exhaust your body, and disconnect you from your deeper self. But each time you pause, breathe through the Ankh, and align yourself with its shape and meaning, you step back into the timeless current the Egyptians called the life force. The ancients believed those who mastered this current could transcend fear of death, because they understood life as an unbroken continuum. Whether or not you reach that level, even a little daily work with the Ankh can bring greater clarity, vitality, and purpose. If this practice speaks to you, make it your own. Carve the symbol into your journal, keep a talisman close, or meditate on it under the stars. Share your experiences in the comments. There is power in collective exploration. Subscribe if you wish to keep walking deeper into these mysteries, and together, we'll keep turning the keys left for us by those who walked before. From the silent corridors of Egypt's temples to the hidden pages of mystical texts, the Ankh has traveled through time as more than a symbol. It is a reminder, a challenge, and perhaps even an invitation. It whispers that life is not confined to the ticking clock of years, nor to the narrow lanes of physical existence. Life, as the ancients knew it, is a current, eternal, unbroken, and accessible to any who learn how to step into its flow. We have walked through its history, decoded its geometry, and glimpsed its deeper layers of meaning. We have seen how it has been carried through the rise and fall of empires, how it has survived beneath the masks of religion and culture, and how its wisdom can still be lived today. The Ankh is at once a map of the cosmos and a mirror for the soul, showing us that the key to life is not something we acquire, but something we awaken within ourselves. Yet, even now, it holds secrets unspoken. Every initiate in history who has worked with the Ankh has added to its living current, shaping it with their own insights and experiences. And now, as you hold these stories in your mind, you too are part of that lineage. The question is no longer, what is the Ankh? The question is, what will you do with it? Perhaps you will wear it as a quiet talisman, meditate upon it as a portal to higher states, or simply carry its meaning within you as a compass toward harmony and wholeness. However you choose, remember, the ancients did not revere symbols for what they were, but for what they could awaken. So as we close this journey, I leave you with this thought. If life is a key, and you now hold it in your hands, which door will you open first? If this exploration stirred something within you, share your reflections in the comments and subscribe so we can keep unlocking the ancient wisdom that still flows beneath the surface of our modern world. Our journey through the labyrinth has only begun.